Hello everyone and welcome to this new edition of the Let's Talk Resident Evil podcast. You're listening to this on iTunes probably, or Libsyn, and YouTube as well, but we are set up on iTunes now, so it is Let's Talk Resident Evil on iTunes and Let's Talk Resident Evil on Libsyn, so you can download the MP3. If you don't like iTunes, you can just download that. And we're going to be working on getting our own app as well. This episode specifically, we're going to be talking about the Resident Evil soundtracks, multiple soundtracks in each game. We're going to go through each game, but I'm here with John. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is John, otherwise known as the Hero Guy John, and I'm here with Anthony talking about one of my favorite franchises of all time, once again, Resident Evil. And yeah, we're going to be talking about sound design and soundtracks.
Yeah, so we plan on doing this for a while. John was on the show in November. If you guys remember that show. So I'm also going to be putting that on the back catalog as well. So you guys can check that out if you haven't yet. We talked about some of his favorite games and whatnot if you guys want to listen about that. But we're also going to be talking about a lot of our favorite games here because a lot of these are the original games. We had to kind of think about what we wanted to do for each song. So we really sat down and made sure we have a list here. We have all the song names and titles, and we're going to be playing them for you so you know what we're talking about. So yeah, let's get right into that. The first game we're going to be talking about is the original Resident Evil, released in 1996.
Yep.
So the first one is obviously the save room theme, the original save room theme. This specific theme is the reason why I like this one is because it captures. This was the first time that people knew what the save room was.
Yeah,
like it was like the first. I'm safe from the horror that's outside this door. I can save in here. I can get my item box, and this theme just kind of captures that 90s, like that just early like mid 90s. Just vibe. It's very relaxing. It's one of my favorite themes. Obviously there's a lot of people who say 2's better, 3's better. Everyone has their own opinion.
Yeah.
But that's the good thing about it is that everybody will have their own kind of take on that. So, what do you think about this theme?
So, yeah, the save room theme set up a very good feeling.
And vibe, I think.
Vibe. It set up the tone and the expectation that in this incredibly horrible place there is a place of rest.
Yeah.
It set the tone for the rest of the series in terms of like Resident Evil 1 through Code Veronica, that there is a safe haven, there is a safe room,
and that's what it's called, safe haven.
Exactly. There is a place that you don't have to worry about things jump scaring you, and the choice of sound design, how it's very methodical, like a melodical, slow paced game, that instantly grabs your attention, and people who play it for the first time automatically get it resonates with them. This is a safe place is what the theme is. So as from a sound design perspective, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Where everything else is very eerie and quiet and like loud at times, and like sometimes you'll be in a place. I know Resident Evil 2 does this a lot. Where you it's like quiet and like and then there's like that loud dun, and then it just goes away, and then there's that on your seat, on the edge of your seat type of feeling. And the save rooms in general do a good job.
They always do, letting
you know that hey, you can go take a bathroom break.
Yeah, exactly. you can rest.
You can rest.
And of course, we can't talk about this theme without talking about the rendition of it in Remake, which it is more. It's even more atmospheric, and I guess there's even more instruments involved, and seeing how they redid that is making me curious to see how they're doing Resident Evil 2. Because if it's a remake of the game, they took those same soundtracks, like remastered them, like the main hall theme they remastered, and several other ones as well, like the snake, the yawn snake, and hunters, and even the tyrant theme. Yeah. So the rendition and remake, I'd say this one definitely captures the vibe of the original. So I'm very nostalgic with the first one. So I would say I potentially like that one a little bit better than the remake one, just for nostalgia factor. But the remake one still sounds phenomenal. It's the same notes,
Yes.
just updated.
It's the same notes with newer technology. And how to capture the sound.
Yeah, and it did it perfectly, because Remake's an even darker game because of its
more
atmospheric,
atmospheric
because it's able to do more graphically. So with that being said, they were able to do a lot more with that going forward. So that was just a classic theme in and of itself. So moving on, we have the fear. We actually have the yawn theme.
Yeah,
that's the one that's next. The yawn theme, which happens when you go in the attic and you're looking for the one of the crests. I forget which crest is in there. I think it's like the wind crest.
No,
moon crest. Okay,
it's the moon crest. I'm pretty sure it's either the moon or the star, because the wind is in the room, the statue room, the puzzle room.
Yeah,
and then. You just get 4 crests. And
you get the 4 crests.
I'm pretty sure it's the moon. I could be wrong, though.
And he comes out. And this is also a fight. We were talking about this earlier. It's a fight that you could literally just run away from.
Yeah, you can literally just turn around and run.
Because if you get poisoned, then you have to go get transported to the save room. Someone picks you up. Or it's Barry, I think. And then if you're Chris, it's Rebecca.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever really explained who picks you up.
I know. It's Barry.
Barry picks you up when you're Jill, because he leaves a note.
Yeah, he leaves the note.
But with Chris,
is it
how Rebecca could move him when he's limp
beats
all
me.
The way
Yeah,
would be really confusing. I mean, she is a trained medical expert,
that's
so
true.
Maybe she would have the power. But I always thought that maybe, which we could be overlooking something like with the cutscene, but
yeah,
I always thought that it was actually Wesker.
So did I.
Who carried Chris. Because it would make sense that he didn't want him to die yet.
Yeah,
because
he had more plans ahead.
He had more plans to maybe recruit the remaining STARS members for his plans, as with Barry.
Yeah.
But the other thing, too, is that maybe it was Barry.
Yeah.
Could have still been Barry. And he just never appeared again.
It just showed up for that. Yeah, the yawn theme, that's one of the first boss themes, I think, in RE1, because
it is the first.
Yeah, so that's the in order of the appearance, the yawn snake. And then I want to say they use the same theme again, because we were looking for the second yawn theme
in the piano room.
In the piano room,
second floor,
when the snake bashes the hole in the floor.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's the same theme.
Yeah, so that theme carries on, but again, a very fast, we'll play it for you. But
which, another thing interesting about sound design and music design in general too is that, technically, when you see the first zombie in a video game, that first zombie would, because it's your inexperienced and everything, technically, in a strategy guide or in an RPG, that would be considered the first boss of the game.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know anything. It does take a little bit more damage than a regular zombie does.
Yeah,
because the idea is you want to run away from it. You don't have any weapons to, cap it or anything like that. Yeah. So that would be considered, I guess, the first boss theme, but this would be the second, unless you count the dog. The dog
Yeah,
themes.
The dog theme.
But they're not really bosses, because they can be knifed pretty easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, also another thing, too, that is interesting about that yawn fight that we did mention, how you can run away from it. You really can't do that with any other boss in the series.
No.
And I think that, other than Nemesis, of course.
Yeah.
Because he's a reoccurring boss.
Or Mr. X or something, where he's reoccurring too.
But I think that might have been an oversight, that you could run from that fight.
Yeah.
And maybe that post-production, they were like, listen, we got to block people off from now on.
Yeah.
Because every fight after that, for the rest of the series, to my knowledge, you can't run from any of them. Or you could run, theoretically, but then, Rebecca's captured in Resident Evil 0, so you don't run away from her to save her, or, she's holding onto an edge, or whatever the case may be.
Because even the second time you verse the yawn, you have to kill him to...
You have to kill it.
To progress the game. This one, you can just kind of run from it. especially speedrunners, you got to run, leave, and then you eventually have to fight them anyway. So the speedrunners, that's another good mention, is people that speedrun the game. That's important for them to know, because the fights they have to do quickly.
Yeah,
the ones they can run from, they can just run.
Yeah.
So,
but that's a little bit of a digress. It's just an interesting thing I just thought of.
No, yeah, that's always good to point out. The next one is going to be this one actually is from actually we'll talk about, you know what? We'll maybe do this, the main hall.
Yeah, so the main hall theme in Resident Evil 1, all iterations of it, Resident Evil 1, Director's Cut, Remake, Deadly Silence.
Yeah, Deadly Silence. They had another remake version of that.
Yeah, because they had for the DS sound card.
Yeah.
Every single theme with that is fine. They're very good. They set the tone.
They each have their own kind of charm to them. Like, and like you said, the original main hall theme is more of like a cheesy horror movie. Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because like you have to think, in your game, that's the first thing they hear.
Yeah.
When you get control of your character, that is the theme that is running in the background.
If you're Jill or if you're Chris and you're in the main hall after the zombie encounter and you run past the dining room, that's the first thing that hits. You go into the upstairs room, and it's the same theme that you hear it. Even through the load screen, you hear the song. It doesn't stop. Yeah, it does not stop. So,
which, to another point, since we're talking about sound design, the fact that they keep that theme going, and as the door opens, and the door sound is very on point. And when you open a door and your theme cuts, that's telling you something either new is going to happen, or a cutscene is going to happen. So you get nervous when you open that door, and it's like
and it stops. You're like, oh shit!
You're like, what's going on? Yeah. And then you close it, and like downstairs in the laboratory where the chimeras are, it's like the theme cuts out, and there's nothing there. And as soon as the door closes, you hear it, and it's just like the boilers.
Yeah,
you get scared as shit.
Oh yeah, no, that's great.
Out. The first time you play it, you're like freaking out.
That's a common thing, especially in the original trilogy. That's like, that whole like stopping and starting. That's been a thing that keeps going. That's a good point to bring up. I mean, that's, especially with how memorable a lot of these themes that we're talking about are, and of course, like, we could go on all day about a lot of our favorite songs. There's a lot that, there's a lot,
like, there's really no
limit.
Bad soundtracks for the first the trilogy. I would even say up until like 4, which we'll get to. It's not hating on the newer Resident Evils, but there is a theme to be had. Yeah. To see. Yeah. With the newer soundtracks.
Absolutely, yeah.
As they turn to a more action-based genre.
Yeah.
The themes kind of go to that kind of like low rumbling sound.
Yeah.
A little harder to differentiate them between each other. But they set the vibe, and that's the first thing you hear. And whether it's remake, which remakes is awesome.
Yeah.
It's very modern. You people today, that's not good. We're not in a good place.
Yeah.
And then back in the 90s, that cheesiness was like, we're not in a good place.
Yeah, but on top of the opening acting scene, it goes hand in hand with just a great cheesy 90s experience, but it's amazing. Another one, we're still talking about mansion floor music. This is actually one from the DualShock Director's Cut. Yeah. Now, the regular Director's Cut with Chris on the front does not have it doesn't have a different rendition of soundtrack. The DualShock version that most people have played, mostly because of it being on the PSN network. The one that you play, that has those remixed themes. They redid the whole soundtrack for a Director's Cut.
Yeah, they actually redid new pieces.
Yeah.
It's not all the same sound.
And this one is the Second Floor Mansion Again.
Yeah, it's called Again. And then in the original, there's a Second Floor Mansion Revisited. Which is very eerie. It's more slow pace and stuff like that. But I like this one more because it brings in that you're being hunted sound.
Yeah.
It's very high pitched, as you guys have heard it already. But it's more uneasy.
Yeah,
it's more
I agree, because we compared them back and forth, and I even said, as much as I don't like a lot of the redo stuff with the DualShock,
sound.
I do like this theme specifically. Like you said, it also when you're like fighting the hunters and stuff, and it kind of gives it that like intense kind of vibe to it. So that was a pretty cool piece that they put on there on top of the main hall themes and stuff.
Yeah, and I can't remember, but did Remake reuse that soundtrack? Or did they reuse the original?
I think they use the original mostly, yeah.
I would have loved to hear that remastered.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I can't
wait.
Which
Resident Evil 2 doesn't have that discrepancy. The soundtrack
it stayed the same.
All of them is the same.
Even with a DualShock version of that, the soundtrack stayed the same. I don't know why they redid it for the DualShock version specifically. It's not like that was, I don't know, maybe they just wanted to try something different, or maybe it was a rights issue. I don't fucking know what's going on. But
yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. They could have redid it because the DualShock was the version that we were getting.
Yeah.
In terms of like, that was like they maybe back then, not that we didn't get the first one, because we did, but maybe back then the whole DualShock being such a big deal for PlayStation, as opposed to now where remasters and stuff like that are just normal.
Yeah, because that was released after Resident Evil 2 as standalone. Mm-hmm. So the main thing with the original director's cut is that it came with the Resident Evil 2 demo.
Yeah.
Because Resident Evil 2 was delayed again in 97 until 98. So Capcom was like, well, let's just re-release this with the demo. And then now after Resident Evil 2 was out and those DualShocks were coming out, they put out director's cut standalone with just the disc. And that's the one with the zombie on the front that a lot of people recognize from the PSN store.
Your Game of the Year edition version back then.
Yeah, that's what it was.
With everything.
That's what it was. It had everything, and they still did not include the uncut cutscenes like they said, and then they forgot to put in the director's cut.
Yeah.
Shout out to Perry. He actually, back then, if you called and you complained and you said that there was no director's cut or uncut stuff, they would send you a free like shirt. And Capcom would send you like a free, free stuff, like because they fucked up.
We should do that. We should call them.
Yeah, just be like, yo,
look, listen, I just bought this brand new sealed Resident Evil.
I spent $300 on this shit.
$300 on this, and there is nothing here. Maybe we'll get like a Resident Evil 4 skin or something.
Hey, that'd be amazing. You never know.
We'll do it.
We'll definitely will.
We'll do it.
But yeah, so that's the second floor one, and then we have one of the last ones for Resident Evil 1 that we're gonna mention is the Fierce Pursuit, which is the Tyrant's theme. And with and now there's two versions of this.
Yes.
Now we have the one where he comes out of bashes out of his if you want to call it a tank.
His tank.
His underwater tank. And
his underwater tank.
Yeah, because the water like drains and then he comes out.
His body fluid, scientific words inserted here.
Yes.
Hyperbolic time bank chamber.
Yeah, tank kind of deal. Breaks out of that, and then that theme is there. But of course, if you do a different ending, you might not even do that.
You might not even get the second one.
You might not even get the second one. So there's two versions of this, but we just put the first one because it's more of like what most people hear when you're fighting them. And
your average first-time player might not get that second fight.
And this is the first final boss theme of a Resident Evil series. So it's a pretty nice staple of it. It's very intense. It's very kind of epic feeling for an ending of a game, especially if you're doing the best ending. You got Chris saved, or you got Jill saved, or Barry, Rebecca, whatever you have. It's kind of like the tension's high, the clock's ticking. And the mansions get ready to go up in flames, if you got that ending,
Yeah.
But
well, it's the same thing. Another thing with that is the sound design aspect of this again.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, like the first time player, I remember when I first played Resident Evil, I did not get the second boss fight. I got the original boss fight. I was like, I don't even know how old, maybe 5 or 6 or something like that. So I was playing on the easiest mode, which I think on the version we had was
Jill, right?
Jill, but I think it was just called normal.
Director's cut, because that's the one he played.
Yeah,
Director's cut had normal.
I think it was just called normal and expert.
They had original.
Original, that's what it was.
They had original, advanced, and arranged.
I played on original, which was wasn't as bad as
and
like the beginner modes. In
they
the new
said
ones.
that Arranged was the Japanese hard mode,
Yeah.
or something like that. I think that's what it's
Something
supposed
like
to be.
that. Yeah. So either way, though, I was playing on the easiest difficulty that was apparent to me because I was younger. I didn't even know what difficulty meant. I just clicked whatever one.
Yeah, you
first.
just played it. Yeah. Back then, you wouldn't know what it is.
Yeah, you wouldn't really care.
You were just trying to play.
Yeah, and like when I got to the end of the game, because I was pretty skilled for a little kid. I played a lot of games, so I got to the end pretty quickly. I think it took me maybe a week. And I lit the flare, and I remember the flare going up and the helicopter coming. And I remember, like, the sound design part of it with the helicopter coming, and, like, it was very, you know, slower paced. Like, you kill him, and then you leave, and you go upstairs, and you're on the helipad place, and then you light the flare.
Then all of a sudden it gets quiet.
It gets quiet, the helicopter's coming, and then, like, it's over. And I always remember feeling like that was very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
And come to find out, that's because, again, the sound design almost in a way punishes you for not being a good player.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, you did it. We'll have fun flying away. Like, there's nothing else here. But when he busts through and you have that final encounter with him with the number countdown on the screen and, like, you hear the helicopter flying overhead.
And then it's like him with his attack, like,
yeah,
like his
he's
fucking
like,
claw.
Yeah, he's like anime.
Yeah.
Sliding across the thing with sparks and shit.
Yeah.
And it just feels more rewarding. And the sound design behind that with the fight, it feels more of an escalated encounter. And when you get rescued, you really feel like you finally put him down.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because when he falls down, he's just like, what'd you do? And you're just like, that's it. I think the first time I killed him, because I was trigger happy, I'm pretty sure I ended up just killing him with my handgun. I don't think I used anything else, because I used all my other bullets.
Yeah.
I had like 6 shotgun shells maybe, and they were gone, and then I would switch to my handgun, and I just would run from him and shoot him. And he was slow. Didn't save Barry or anything like that. So, I mean, that was just me. And then he just went down, and then I left. And I got the ending where Jill's the only one that lives.
Yeah, and like in the game kind of says, well, if you didn't get the right ending, you know, you can go back and because you don't feel as rewarded, so you go back and you're like, oh, like back then, there wasn't a YouTube, you couldn't pull, you were just like, what the hell? So then you play it again, you're like, oh, okay, now I feel.
So I played it again, and there was a couple accidents. I found like Barry upstairs, and then like instead of taking the thing, the first time, instead of taking the gun from Forrest, I actually woke him up that time, and he actually went after me, and I killed him, and there was a lot of difference the second time I played through the game. And
then you got Barry in the caves when you're saving him, but you meet up with him in the caves with Enrico.
With Enrico.
So there, you know, that, and then with Remake, how they did that with like you can actually get them killed because they're trying to help you, and if you don't shoot the tyrant off, that I like that. I always liked how they redid that fight.
Yeah, in the Remake, the fight they actually help you. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, obviously. They don't do any damage.
Yeah,
it's just fake.
They could
just shoot. Yeah. It's like AI. It's like
and then he grabs them, and you just got to save them, where they can fucking literally die. Like if
they literally can die there.
Yeah, which is crazy.
If they're alive, they're alive. If they're
I always thought that was just insane, but I liked how they redid that.
Yeah, the one complaint about that fight in general that I have though in Remake is in some of the earlier versions or some of the lower difficulties, he holds them for.
Oh, yeah. Forever.
He's just like, I'm going to kill you. But should I do this?
He's like, should I do
this?
I'm
going to do it.
I don't know.
I'm going to do it. I don't know. Are you really not going to save her? Like, you know what?
Yeah, you know what?
He just kills her. He just kills Rebecca.
Because he can swat them, but he can also, like...
grab them.
Grab them. But that's if, like, you're really far away. Like, usually he's on your ass.
He's on you.
In the original and remake, he's, like, on your ass. Like, completely. Because he's fast. Tyrant's really fast.
Yeah, in the original, they never help you.
No.
It's all you.
No, yeah. Because they're, like... down below in the elevator, like, we'll hold off the like, you hear, like, monsters, like, we'll hold them off, you go upstairs, and you're like, okay, I'm by myself, dicks.
What were they even fighting?
They sounded like zombies, or they could have been the Chimera things.
The Chimeras, it could have been.
I don't know. It sounded like weird, again, because you heard the loud music, the voice, and that, it was, like, drowning out. It was, like, really, like, badly mixed at that point, but,
he could have been another tyrant.
That's true.
There was other tanks.
You never know.
There was, like, one monster in there, but... Still, But yeah, so that's really all for Resident Evil 1 in terms of sound design and themes. Like, I think that wraps it up pretty well.
It does, yeah. We talked about some. Now, again, like, there's not really any particular order. I mean, really wanted to break. We had a list originally, but he was like, you know what, let's try to, this is the first podcast I'm doing in person for Resident Evil. So we literally sat down and, like, went through this with, like, just making sure we got everything ready. So we wanted to go through each game, but we also, want to mention that we're not really having in any specific order. We're just trying to give some stuff that's our favorites, and we might have some honorable mentions, and we also want to hear what you guys have as well for your favorites.
Yeah, I was going to say, if your favorite isn't here and we don't talk about it, there's just too many to talk about. Just leave a comment and tell us why you like it, and we'll respond.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm always monitoring the things that I take part in, so I'll respond on it as well.
I'm always on there, so, But moving on to Resident Evil 2. The big 2 here.
Big 2.
The big 2. We have, first off, we have the save room theme on this one, too. Again, you can't talk about these games without bringing up every single save room theme.
Yeah. The pattern here is going to be, when we talk about a game, the save room theme.
Yeah.
And then usually the order that we put this in is towards the end of the game, we'll talk about where the final boss music is.
Yeah. So we're trying to go in some kind of structured order.
Yeah. But before even that, with Resident Evil 2 in particular, and 3, especially 3 and 2. 1 didn't do this as much, but before you even play the game, the intro
Oh, yeah.
Is set up in a perfect way to make you feel like, yeah, this is happening again.
Yeah.
I'm getting back into this world.
Resident Evil 2 is intense. You see, like, the explosion, the eye-opening, Leon jumping out of the way, like,
and Resident Evil 3, too, is like, and you see Nemesis the whole time.
Raccoon City getting overrun by zombies, fucking, yeah.
And it goes right into
the title, fades out,
and then goes right into that picture.
Perfect intros.
Perfect intros for 2 and 3. I really feel like 1...
Because 1 had the... Chris screaming and shit.
The really poorly live action.
I know.
Chris, with the fog. Is great. Deadly Science is my favorite one.
Oh, yeah, that was great. Yeah.
Eye. Pixelated eye.
So great.
No, but yeah, like 2 and 3, I think 2 and 3 are the pinnacle of... in terms of, like, masterpieces, 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
Sound design, gameplay, theme, story, cutscenes, like, options.
There's a classic feel to it.
They're the two that I would say even more than 1. 1 is definitely always going to be the origin, but that's just the way that I feel.
It just shows you it was a company improving their craft. On a literal franchise that is still going to this day.
Exactly.
21 years later.
Instead of just making another one to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a story to be told, and from 1 to Code Veronica, that story is being told.
Yeah.
And then you get a little off later on, but the story was told, and when the story's told,
they're trying to different things.
You have to add to it,
yeah.
And sometimes that's where companies make a little bit of mistakes, and not that 4 and on is a mistake, but there's a lot of things that, just come with time.
Yeah.
Even Final Fantasy.
Or it takes some getting used to.
Yeah, like we were talking Final Fantasy and Square Enix and the way that they went from Square to Enix, or Squaresoft to Square Enix, and that whole era of people getting promoted and demoted and leaving and moving on to other things. There's bound to be changes. I don't think the person who made Resident Evil 1 is still doing everything for 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Or 8
it just
in the
changes.
Works, I'm sure.
Teams change.
Plus
Capcom had that, money issue and stuff. Visions do change.
And tastes change. Consumer tastes change. But yeah, so moving on with the RE2 save room theme is again, it's
one of probably my favorites.
It's probably my favorite, yeah. When you hear it, you know you're safe again. It's just like we talked about in the first one.
Yeah, if anything, this sounds a little bit better produced as a soundtrack as a whole. So that's another thing I'll mention is that they had a little bit more money.
They did.
They put that into this. I mean, of course, Capcom was established. They had Mega Man, they had all this stuff, but they put a lot more time into the soundtrack. You can tell it wasn't as like cheesy. It was a little bit more serious. Like you mentioned that earlier. It's like you could tell that serious tone of the game.
Yeah, And another thing to think about too, or to your point about them having a bigger budget, you have to understand with game companies, like for example, I go back to Square Enix because it's one that I'm most familiar with. They don't just give a game a budget because they're Square Enix. Like Parasite Eve, for example, in Capcom, they had to earn that budget for a sequel.
Yeah.
Did they? Well, they're not around now. But so, like, there's always that question, like, was it a good game?
Yeah.
It seems good, but, like, was it received well? And Resident Evil, just because 2 was good, doesn't mean there's going to be a 4, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That means that they're gonna budget a 3.
They're gonna see how much they're gonna see how much it sells, how much it projects in Japan and America. Keep in mind,
America
you're dealing with Japan sales and also American market and worldwide.
Now.
And definitely. Now. It's more important than ever.
It's more important than ever. So, that's another thing I just wanted to mention real quick. Like,
no,
the budget was bigger
goes
for
hand
2
in hand.
because 1 did good.
Exactly.
They're not just going to budget out Resident Evil because it's Resident Evil. Yeah, with your games like, Final Fantasy and, let's say, your Halo, or Crash Bandicoot back in the day, or Mario.
Yeah.
Nintendo is basically a walking example of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Your legendary IPs are going to get budget.
Yeah.
Because they've always been legendary. Yeah. There's no reason for them
Super
not
Mario
to get
Brothers
budget.
is the top selling game of all time.
Exactly. So there's not going to be a budget problem with that. But it's just going to be like that. And then the more you bring on a composer, I believe the composer for RE1 and 2 is the same person. I'm pretty sure. We actually didn't look up that. We didn't do any research into the composer itself. But I think 1, 2, and 3 are all composed by the same person.
Yeah, we'll put them in the credits.
Yeah, we'll put them in the credits, and if I'm wrong, we'll cite who is the composer for each. But I'm pretty sure they did them, and that's this with experience. He might have been a new composer in 1.
Yeah,
and then 2,
possibly.
and then 3, and then he just got his little experience on with that.
But the budget is important to mention because again, that goes hand in hand with everything you're hearing, seeing, sound design, everything. That all goes into it.
The amount of people that were granted permission to work on the project, and how many perceptions come in to make the product. It depends on everything. Movies, the same way.
Absolutely.
If you have a composer that just because the composer, might have wrote the score for The Land Before Time, doesn't mean he's going to write a perfect score for your horror movie.
Absolutely.
It's just it's all about taste and productivity.
The Resident Evil 2 soundtrack was composed by Masami Ueda.
Masami Yuda.
It's hard to pronounce.
Shusaku Uchiyama and Shun Nishigaki. So there's actually 3 composers.
3 composers.
3 people. So that may be why the sound design is so good. Because they had 3 perceptions of what was scary. Maybe one of them wrote the upbeat songs because they were better with like a piano or something like that. There's a lot of factors into it that goes into it. But just a little bit of, like the police station main hall theme. Is the same thing as in Resident Evil 1. It's pretty much a carbon copy the way that they sound designed Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
You have your save room that you're safe in. You have your main hall, which sets the mood for the game. And then you have, which we also have on here, the 2 boss themes that we like in this game are the Tyrant B theme and Leon B and Claire B.
Yep.
When you fight him at the train station, or at the train at the end. When you have that fight and it's like that long drawn out sound of him getting ready and it makes you feel.
That's the same one as well.
Okay, so Masami Uda. Is it just him?
And sort of someone else. 2 on 3.
Sayori Maeda.
So we'll keep that up for
we'll keep that up. So 2 of the 3 composed 3, which makes sense because 2 and 3 have some similar sound.
They do.
I would also not be surprised if there was songs written for 2
that they
used in 3 that never was used in 2.
Sure.
Especially if he was the same composer, because that's a lot of time how they do that.
Yeah, they got shit in the vault,
And 2 and 3 could have been in development at the same time. I'm not sure about the history of them.
Well, 3 was originally going to be like a side game. It was going to be like
the side game.
Yeah, it was going to be like a spin-off, but then they wanted to make it into because it was going to be Devil May Cry. Like 4 is going to be Resident Evil 4 is originally Devil May Cry, but it was so different that they made it its own series. So 3 was originally going to be like a 2.5 or something.
Gotcha.
But then they were like, nah, we're going to call Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Yeah,
Nemesis. But yeah, but the police station, I mean, first of all, it's a classic area. Yeah. Like, people are dying to see what it's going to look like in Remake, for example. The remake of this game.
Yeah, there's the mansion in 1, and you have the police station in 2.
Police station 2. It's a staple. You go underground, you go in a police station, you go all the fucking weird rooms that are hidden in the police station. I mean, the police station is a staple.
Which Claire goes to more.
Which Claire goes to more and explores there.
Than Leon
and
does.
Sherry and stuff like that. Yeah. So she's running around and shit. But... yeah, so I mean, it's classic, and like you mentioned before with the sound design, it's like this theme goes hand in hand with the feet clacking on the floor, running back and forth.
Yeah, the sound design,
the echoes and shit. Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful soundtrack.
It's just great. A lot of thought went into that.
Sound design, even the way the zombies move and sound, the lickers,
Yep. Yeah, you don't see them, but you hear them.
You hear them.
And that's like another thing. When you go into the liquor room, everything stops.
Yeah.
And that's all you hear.
Exactly. There's the drip.
Yeah.
You hear the drip, and then you're just like, well, what's going on? And that's just a beautiful thing.
So good. Such a good transition.
And then you see the dude decapitated on the ground.
And you're like, oh, this isn't good.
You're like, oh, I guess this is, I wonder if they have any chocolate. Yeah, I wonder if there's any chocolate in here. I just pictured Leon just like looking around like, yeah.
First day on the job. Perfect.
Can I not be here?
Yeah.
Why wasn't I a pizza delivery boy?
Anything at that point would be better than a cop in Raccoon City.
Yeah. I think we mentioned that before.
Yeah.
His first day as a pizza delivery boy.
Yeah.
Something
like that happened.
Something terrible happened.
No matter what.
First day as a government agent, president's daughter's kidnapped. First day as a police, Raccoon City. First day as a married man, wife dies.
That wasn't even vendetta. It's like his first day, like, transferring somewhere, and just he gets transferred some like higher position, and he gets like screwed because of a virus thing.
Yeah, his trope is it's the first day on the job. Chris's trope is it's the first day with his new look.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a different design.
Design. He goes through identity crisis.
He does. He absolutely does. So with the police station, we have the Tyrant B theme.
Yeah, so the B theme. I kind of went over them real quick to talk about them in general because the Tyrant B theme is in B.
Yeah, it's in B. Yeah,
we're not sure if that's what it's called.
That's what it said when we looked it up.
Yeah, it's
I can always see it too.
Yeah, so that theme is, like I said earlier, when you fight him at the end of B, whether you're Claire or Leon, and he's got both claws. No trench coat.
Yeah.
No trenchy.
Nope. No trenchy.
No trenchy. That fight is kind of reminiscent of the first Tyrant theme, where like there's one last fight to have, which is interesting because Resident Evil 2 doesn't have multiple endings.
No.
1 did, but 2 and 3 don't.
They just have the
3 does.
3 has 2 different endings.
Yeah.
If you jump off the bridge with Nemesis, it's a different ending. You get to kill Nikolai. If you run past him on the bridge, there is no Nikolai at the end. Nikolai just gets killed by Nemesis, and that's it. And then you and Carlos escape. Barry saves you if you jump off the bridge.
Barry saves you, and if you don't,
Carlos just gets a helicopter.
Where the missile just doesn't come?
No, it always does.
It does always come?
It does.
Yeah. Carlos gets the helicopter, or Barry saves you.
So it's the same outcome, just different characters that lead you to that, because it's like... She's like, is that really you? And Barry's like, yeah. Like, it's like, what did you expect? I'm Barry, motherfucker. Yeah, I'm here to save you.
Barry? Is that really you?
He's like, yeah.
I got this.
And you don't even see his face. You just see his beard and the microphone.
And the visor.
Yeah, and the visor.
Poor Mike.
I know. Rip Mike. Rip Mike.
Mike just wanted to be Barry.
Oh, man.
I came to save you.
Drinks are on me. Mike! we'll get to RE4, no worries. Yeah, but no, I mean, the boss themes in this Resident Evil game is definitely one of my favorites. I mean, it's just it has that epic seriousness to it. It's got the the orchestra and everything hits you at once. It starts off like light and then it gets heavy and loud and as everything, hits and
and as you know, my favorite theme of Resident Evil, boss wise, is the second malformation of G. When you're Leon, I believe it's Leon A only. Leon A, when you go up on the lift.
Yeah, the lift,
little cart, the train cart thing. I don't even know what
and
the hell that's called.
when we first started talking about Resident Evil, this is one of the first things we talked about.
It
and
was.
you're like, yo, this is my favorite theme. Like, that theme is so...
I was like, I don't know why I even brought it up. It was
yeah,
just
we were talking about
Evil,
something,
I'm just like,
yeah.
listen, this theme is great.
Yeah, I was like, oh, dude, it's so epic.
I think that might actually be the spawn of this entire
I think so, yeah.
concept. So, hats off to you,
yeah,
William Birkin.
for making that possible.
Asshole.
Asshole
and
Birkin.
it's because it goes back to the sound design of the game. That theme stuck with me so well because of the way the game paces around it. So if it would have just hit and then like Leon's walking out, it wouldn't have been as impactful.
But he comes out, he raises
But the fact
his
like
leg.
he throws the lead pipe at you, and Leon's like, and he backs up, and that sound of
And
it
it's
bouncing.
quiet.
It's quiet. He throws the lead pipe at you. You look up. He roars. He makes his little claw thing, and the theme starts as soon as his feet touch the ground.
Yeah.
Like he jumps down, and as soon as his feet hits the ground, it's dun 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 dun.
Yep.
I love it.
It's just perfect timing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's the best theme.
And that goes hand in hand why a lot of people love Resident Evil 2. It's
yeah.
so, like... If someone, like I said, like I always talk about this with, like, I don't know, like certain movie series and stuff like that. If someone, like, says, like, take the Friday the 13th, for example. Mm-hmm. If someone's like, what is the quintessential Friday film that represents everything as a whole? I say watch Friday the 13th Part 4. If someone said that for Resident Evil, I'd say play Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
That captures everything that people love about Resident Evil.
Everything.
Literally.
Everything.
Soundtrack, characters,
everything.
like the spectrum of this game compared to the first one, it's so big.
It's so big, but they keep it
2 discs. Like, that's a big deal back
big.
then. You know, like that's
it's so big. I think the only game I've had Final Fantasy VIII.
Final Fantasy obviously had multiple discs.
4 discs.
4 discs.
I believe it was 4 discs.
Because those
sure
CDs only held like 700 megabytes, so these were they're very limited in space. And the fact that RE2 fit on a cartridge for N64 is mind-boggling.
Well, no, not really, because cartridges have bigger space. They have
That's
more
true,
hardware.
but it's the video that was the problem.
Yeah, the video.
Because they had to, they took down some of the quality.
I would be willing to bet, which we would have to look at the science behind it because I've never done any research, but I think that the way that the game was made, I could be wrong, but they could have fit it on 1 disc. I think they fit it on 2 discs because it was the easiest way
to distinguish the characters and the scenarios. I think so.
I think that's why they went with 2 discs. I still have problems to this day with them putting Leon as disc A, because the actual way the game should be played is Claire A, Leon B, just because that's the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, that cuts back to it was the 90s and, men pushed the game. That's the audience was primarily men, and they wanted to put him at the forefront. But like you said earlier about being the quintessential, game of the franchise, it really says something that my favorite male lead is Leon, and
Absolutely.
my favorite female lead is Claire. There's a reason for that. 2 is my favorite game.
It just stuck with you.
And I love everything Claire's in. As you know, I'm a huge fan of Code Veronica, even though people think it's like the bastard child. I'm a huge fan of Code Veronica because you play as Claire.
I'm coming around on that one again, actually. I want to stream it again.
Yeah, I would be here for that.
Yeah, definitely.
I would be here for that. I wouldn't mind.
That'd be fun.
Going through Code Veronica.
It's been on the list for a while. I just got to get around to it, but I'm thinking it's a long game for me because I'm not the best at it. But
yeah, it is a long game.
Yeah.
It's a hard game.
It's hard.
Which we've talked about that over and over again.
That and Zero, man.
Zero is hard too.
Zero is pretty
That's
hard.
actually something I wanted to bring up. Do you think the remake of RE2 is going to have A and B? Or do you think they'll put Claire and Leon in like Zero?
I feel like it should have both scenarios.
You
man.
think it should have
I
both?
feel like it should because that is so like it's just such a staple of that game. Like leaving the side pack, taking the machine gun, different elements sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
I just think it's so important. But that's just me. I mean, who knows what they're going to do?
No,
I mean, a lot of people are thinking about what they're going to be doing similar or if they're going to be taking a completely different approach. or they're trying to really stay more of the same, but just put like a new spin on it. What's too different and what's too much of the same is the real question here.
I was really hoping that they were going to do an April Fool's joke with Resident Evil 2, where like they announced it and like they showed the trailer and it was just Operation Raccoon City.
Oh no, that would be awful. People would be like, "What?"
Yeah,
or they just show Umbrella Corps.
Resident Evil 2. I also think it would be really cool if there was some type of untold story in the remake, and they gave you a Hunk scenario.
That would be cool.
Like of him doing what he had to do before the events.
Yeah.
Like have him running around
Hunk,
the lab
people
and
love
stuff.
Hunk.
Yeah, people love Hunk.
People love Hunk, and he's not even fully developed.
And it's not like it would be an extra. Like it wouldn't be something they threw in. There's lore there that needs to be explained. So having, Hunk go through the sewers and the things that you don't see before, maybe unlocked after you beat AB and, at least one of them. So you can see that.
Yeah,
that would be really cool. But with that being said, about the ending of the game, there is one theme that we agree is
probably our favorite theme.
It's non-boss theme wise. It's my favorite.
I'd say so myself. It is. It was number one on my list when I came to John today with coming. I made my list last night and this morning, and
it was. I think on mine that I was making a couple days ago.
It was up there.
It was top 3.
Yeah,
it was one of my favorites. So it's up there.
And this is the escape alarm.
And 2.
The self-destruct sequence has been activated. Repeat, the self-destruct sequence has been activated. This sequence may not be aborted. All employees proceed to the emergency car at the bottom platform. All employees proceed to the bottom platform. Repeat, all employees proceed to the bottom platform.
And that is just, it's so 90s like video game-esque. It's so just like you just hear all that and then it's just like, it has the woman speaking, the classic self-destruct system.
All employees report to the boarding platform.
Boarding platform? Yeah.
I think it's boarding.
She sounds like she's saying multi-platform, but that's what
it sounds like to me too. All employees report to the.
But I just feel like that wouldn't...
To the falling platform.
To the falling?
It sounds... I'm pretty sure it's boarding.
Yeah. To the falling platform.
We could be wrong.
I mean, because it's like...
That's what I thought. When I was little, I always thought that she was saying, all employees report to the following platform. It's like, what platform?
What platform where?
But I think it means the boarding platform. Yeah. Because the boarding goes down to board the train.
Yeah.
I think that's what she says.
And
could be codes.
And because keep in mind, it's meant for if there's like scientists and they have to, it's like an emergency exit. So, but it's so perfect. I mean, like the instruments and just how intense it is. And, you're on technically kind of a time limit. You are trying to run through and you hear all this.
It feels like you are anyway.
It's intense and it's just so perfect. That's why it's my favorite because again, with this being the quintessential Resident Evil game.
And it hits too.
Yeah.
Like it hits both like, whether you're Leon A or Leon B or Cleon. Yeah.
Claire.
Whether you're Cleon A or Cleon B.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It hits at a very important part of the game. My memory's a little foggy today. I know I should know this, but I'm pretty sure on Leon B it happens after you kiss Ada at the generator. He's holding her.
Yeah.
And then he puts her down, and then he, looks up, and it's, all employees.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I'm pretty sure, because the janitor is what causes that.
Yeah, because the power or whatever, because you have to, do that before.
Which is why it's so important that Leon B is played. Because there's no generator in Claire, right?
I don't think so.
I think...
You do that in B, because you can get in that room.
You get that in the room, yeah. So, in Leon A...
Because it takes it's like the prince, right? To unlock that door, I think that's what it is.
And then when you unlock that door, I think Claire... Actually, you know what? No. I think... Yeah, in Claire, he punches it.
Yeah.
He punches it. She dodges and he punches it, I'm pretty sure. And Leon, he punches Ada into it.
Yeah.
He fucking wrecks Ada in the face. But that's what actually causes that. Because I always thought it was... which we could still be wrong. We can't know everything, but I always thought it was a net. but it's not a net. It's that generator is what causes the malfunction.
I think so, yeah. I don't think it's a net. Well, because a net gets, the one net, the shit falls on her in the hallway.
The pipe.
Yeah, from the ceiling.
Yeah, the pipe happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just, it's wonderful sound design, and like, you don't, it's like, or whatever. That's probably terrible. But I know what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And it just
you guys heard it, so you know.
Yeah, you heard it. But it's just like, it's so good. And then you get to there, and then, you know, if you're Leon A or Claire A, you're waiting for the thing, and it's like, beep, beep, and then the dog comes down. I call it the dog.
Yeah.
I think it's called the third malformation.
Yeah, it is. That's what I saw on the other page before I pulled up the RE3
the third malformation of G
yeah.
is the one where he's like the vagina with legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's a terrible boss. Like, he's a terrible boss. I don't mean bad designed. I mean, like...
Yeah, that's
If you're not ready for him... I remember I was speedrunning once, and I got to him, didn't save the game at all. I was like an hour and 40 minutes in.
Mm.
No health. No nothing. Orange caution. Because I made some mistakes. And he grabbed me. When he runs and he does that thing where he grabs you and Leon's like, ugh!
Yeah.
And then he's like, swinging you around, which the sound effects are great.
Oh, yeah.
And then he throws you on the ground. And I just remember...
You saw the white screen, you're like, no!
No, I didn't die.
Oh,
I just remember he threw me on the ground and he jumped up on the thing and Leon gets up. I thought I was dead. Now he gets up and I'm like, wow, I'm not dead. And then just the limping. And I'm just like, and Leon, I have no health left. He's on danger. And Leon's like dramatically limping. And I'm running around the corner and I hear, and he's coming after me. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? And he's just about to kill me. And then I shot him. And I guess when he runs after you and you shoot him, he stops. Well, if you shoot him perfectly,
momentum, yeah.
It stops him from running. So I shot him and he stopped. And I was like, I didn't know he was going to stop. I was like, I'm fucking dead. So I shot him and then I'm just standing there. And I'm like, oh, he stopped. So I go to limp away and he just fucking killed me. He grabbed me again. And he threw me around. And I died. And my friend who was with me was like, oh, that stinks. Well, you'll get him this time. And I was like, no, I won't. I never saved. And the title screen came up. And he was like,
no.
That is savage.
That actually happened recently. I was playing Resident Evil 1. And I was showing my girlfriend Resident Evil. I was like, look, you gotta watch me play this game because she likes watching me play games.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. I must have been on caution or something.
You know who kills you in fucking 1?
Who's that?
Yawn.
Oh yeah.
Oh
no, yeah.
And then you're just dead.
Yeah,
you're just like, I was on
You
orange?
hear Jill scream. She's like, ah, in his mouth, like. But I was playing and the hunter got me, bro.
Oh yeah, the hunter capped you.
I was like, fuck. And I didn't save.
Yeah.
I didn't save because I was like, I could beat this in like
when,
hour 40 minutes.
Yeah, because
whatever.
when you're professional Resident Evil players like we are, you don't need to save.
Yeah.
But sometimes
you mess up.
It's not even like messing up.
I had health. I had health in my inventory. I just underestimated. I got too cocky. And that's what fucking happened.
She was watching.
Yep. And she's like, it's okay. I saw most of the game because I was almost done. And I was like, yeah, but we'll replay it. Don't worry. Like, but I still haven't forgiven myself for that until I go back and play it.
Yeah, the hunters are brutal. Hunters are definitely brutal. And the lickers can be the same way.
Oh yeah. I prefer lickers over hunter any day though.
Yeah.
Any day. I feel like hunters get more in your shit. Dude, hunters in Survivor in first person with tank controls is the worst
thing
ever. You could ever encounter. God. And you're like, ugh! And you're like looking around and it's just like, Jesus Christ. Don't worry, Survivor is not on this list, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
so
Survivor didn't make it. You know what Survivor theme is my favorite? The You Are Dead theme.
Yeah. That's it. Silence. That's it.
Silence.
Yeah, our Survivors. Talking about recycled shit, that was probably recycled material. I don't even know if that has a soundtrack or who composed that, if you can find that somewhere. Yeah. I'm about to actually look that up.
The thing, too, about Survivor that's interesting, too, which is just a side note because we want to continue, but...
Yeah, we're on RE3 next.
Resident Evil started out first person. When they were originally making the game, they wanted it to be a first-person game. And Survivor kind of shows you that wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
7's definitely a lot better now that first person's had a long time to, like...
Oh, absolutely.
You know, adjusted to how people like first-person games. Skyrim was a big pinnacle of that.
Even Oblivion.
Oblivion and Fallout.
Yeah.
Morrowind. Yeah, basically the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
Bethesda is a big part of making first-person
Absolutely, yeah.
good. People say Call of Duty, but that's shooting. That's a little different. But yeah, that's just one of those things. Like, Survivor's the pinnacle of why you shouldn't do that on the PS1. Why it was a good thing they didn't do that, because the game would not be the way it is now.
Don't play it, but watch my Let's Play. So because it's pretty funny.
Don't play it, but watch it. We'll link that.
Yeah, that's definitely the pinnacle of that game where it stops, just like for pure
but
laughter.
Have you done Survivor with just a knife?
There's no knife in that game.
Have you done it without killing anything? I think you can do that.
Maybe you can.
I think you can.
Besides the boss. The only thing you have to kill is the boss at the end. That's it.
Yeah.
You can definitely run through it, I'm sure. People can beat it in like 20 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, so RE2, that wraps up RE2.
Yeah. We had to talk about that a lot, though, because RE2 is...
RE2 is good. And another side note, too, which we didn't mention, he might throw this in on here, but RE1's escape alarm as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, another
nice
self-destruct sequence.
Another self-destruct thing. Self-destruct, yeah. Self-destruct thing. It was good. It set the tone as well. We kind of glanced over that, but I just wanted to bring that up. It is awesome.
On to my favorite game of all time, Resident Evil 3. And we'll start out again with the save room theme, which is it's actually called... I have the title actually on my phone, because I do have that. It is called Free from Fear. Theme.
Yep.
And that is, it honestly is the first theme that you hear besides the main thing, because you run into the warehouse,
yep,
and the guy's yelling at you and shit, and then you run up to the save room, and then you have to grab the key on the wall. And I love this theme too. It's very different than RE2, as around at the same time, but it has a lot more of a
boom boom.
Yep.
Boom.
And then it goes,
melody.
but it's still very like dark, because then it goes back. It's like dun dun, and then it starts the main like thing, and nah, 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 and it's cool. Very sad, but it's very like personally, I think it fits the whole Last Escape running theme, because that's really what it is called in Japan. Not so much Nemesis, but it captures the whole sadness of kind of Jill getting out of the city, having no choice, leaving everything behind. That's just what I get from it.
Yep.
And I think they did a great job with that. Also because of the fact that, you have kind of everything changing. I mean, Raccoon City's done. I mean, it's the final chapter of the trilogy on PlayStation. I mean, if you don't count Survivor, but this is the last PS1 quintessential sequel, you know? And that's it. So I love this theme, as well as the, I'll talk about the option theme. It's literally just called Options. I just looked up the
Options theme.
And we talked about the composers on this one as well. We mentioned their names. But yeah, they are on here, so the option screen, and then by the main, it says the album is by Masami
Uda.
Uda, yeah.
Or Ada. It's probably Ada.
Yeah, you're better at pronouncing those Japanese names than I am. I'm gonna just butcher them.
Yeah, butcher them.
But they also have the title calling too, Resident Evil, which is another thing we should mention with the sound design. I mean,
the sound design, definitely.
That's so important, you know.
Resident Evil.
Like everybody knows that like when people know Resident Evil, they always remember that title sound of the guy saying it. It was just cool.
And people also remember when they don't say it.
Yeah. Oh.
How annoying that felt when they didn't say 5, I think it was, right?
They said 5. They did.
Which one did they not say?
6?
7 and 6.
Yeah, 6 and 7 did not say.
Yeah, 5 they did say. Resident Evil 5. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and it was the same guy from 4.
Mm-hmm.
The same guy who did it, the same voice. He's awesome, because he did Remake.
Yeah.
He did 0.
Yeah, he's
He
good.
did 4 and 5, and then he stopped. So what the fuck? Come on, Capcom. Talk about trying to bring it back to the roots. You should have got someone
Somebody to
back.
say
Yeah,
7.
somebody to say 7.
Or even if they would have just said Biohazard.
Yeah.
Like, I would be fine
Yeah,
with
exactly.
that. They have to have something.
Because the guy does both. He says Biohazard and he says Resident Evil 4. It's the same guy no matter what version they're playing. But the options menu is another great piano, sad theme. It's only in that options menu,
It is.
but it's so good.
It was definitely probably a leftover theme.
Yeah.
And they were just like, we want to put this in here.
It's always great, though. Every time I hear it, it really is very nostalgic, and I fucking love that.
Now, also, with the options theme, that was... like I think Resident Evil 3 was the one where you had options.
Yeah.
You actually had options.
You can turn... It was like the brightness.
Like,
it
if you
had
only bought the first version of each game, there wasn't really options in the first two.
Mhm.
There were, like, brightness and stuff like that, but, like, you didn't have auto-aim in the first one.
No.
You didn't turn it off. You didn't have auto-reload.
And and in options, you also have the type A, B, and C
Type
controllers.
A, B, C controller,
yeah.
which you did have in
You did have...
2.
Yeah, in 2,
And 1, right? Yeah, I believe you did have it in 1. Not in the original.
Not in the original
DualShock.
DualShock. You had more of a choice. But then so options and save room themes, again, great little piano and great instruments. And again, it really captures the vibe of Resident Evil 3. But that's going forward because shortly after that save room, the first save room that you go into another one, and that's right outside the police station, and that's where our buddy Nemesis comes.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nemesis theme is another one on our list here that we're going to talk about.
Nemesis theme, yeah. Very well done.
So iconic.
Iconic.
Because every time he comes in that room and you hear that the door's shut,
Yeah.
it hits. And
Yeah,
like, he
it
starts
hits.
running here. You hear him just plowing through the friggin' like streets. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
great.
high tension. You're running, you're like, holy shit.
Yep.
And it's like,
Which
nah, 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 nah,
correlates
nah.
into the Feel the Tension theme.
Yeah.
Which is when you're in the safe room for the first time, because Nemesis is supposed to be this unescapable, thing.
Well, yeah, that's actually when you run into the police station and he tries to bust down. If you don't fight him and you run in and he tries to bust down the door, that's the first time you hear Feel the Tension. So they go hand in hand.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
In the order that they're sequenced. And yeah, he like tries to bust down the door and you just hear like the very slow, like, nah, and you just like, you know he's out there. And what's even worse is that when you leave the safe room and he's not out there, but you still hear the song.
Yeah.
And he's around. So you could go into the room next to the room you're in, and then he's in there.
He's in there.
It's so perfect. Talk about the Nemesis system and how all of that, it's so great. And that's why Resident Evil 3 is very unique. As people say, it's very similar. The graphics are the same as RE2, blah, 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 but...
Which isn't true.
I mean,
no, RE3 has a more fluid movement.
They definitely did improve it, especially with, older hardware at the time. That was the PS1, heading into 2000, and the PS2 was on its way.
Character models were a lot smoother.
They were. And obviously the best looking version is the Dreamcast, in my opinion. It goes hand in hand. I mean, that is just Nemesis, considering he's so, and even when he's Type 2 Nemesis, that the same theme, happens again. I think he has his, an honorable mention we should bring up is his clock tower fight. The Nemesis clock tower fight. We didn't put on here, but that's another one that we can talk about. That's very epic, and he infects Jill with the virus,
that's the halfway point.
Yeah, that's the halfway point. Yeah, that's the last time you see Type 1 Nemesis. Yeah. Then he goes into Type 2. It's great. So on top of all the Nemesis themes, we have the Nemesis Final Metamorphosis,
which is his
final boss. It's so epic, and you have to push in the batteries, and the guns going off, and
Yep.
everything with that sound design in this one is just, it's so perfect.
And even like the way that she finishes them off.
Oh, so good. I'll give you stars. And the song keeps playing. It's like,
Yeah.
just keep shooting, walking towards them and stuff. Again, just it's very 2 and 3 are gonna go hand in hand with very epic themes.
Yeah, they're very
serious.
serious.
More serious. They're more open games. They're more like broad. Resident Evil 1 obviously was a little bit more isolated. Even, but comparing it to 2 and 3 with the themes, they go hand in hand with just having it a really broad spectrum of great composers and just great sound design and sound
which
work.
makes sense too, because like in Resident Evil 1, you're at a mansion, you don't know what's going
Exactly.
on. Exactly.
You're
very
confused,
so the soundtrack is very little bit lighter because it's like fleeting.
Exactly.
And then in 2 and 3, shit's fucked up.
Yeah.
And you know that
shit's hitting the
fucked up.
fan. Yeah.
Like how it went from there to there in the time that Leon arrived and Claire arrived. I mean, how they didn't see that, or how the world wouldn't have known that was going on already.
Yeah.
In that day and age is still mind-boggling. But the fact that you get there and it's just like, oh, everything's
so good.
fucked up.
It's so good, man. Resident Evil 3 is, of course with the final fight, leading into the destruction of Raccoon City.
Yeah.
All of these things that go hand in hand with the feel of the game, knowing that it's the last Raccoon City game that's kind of included in that, not including all the spin-offs and the what if games that we got.
Yeah.
Well,
Zero's in there too. Zero's considered.
Zero's considered that too.
Because it's Arclay Mountain. So the original trilogy plus Zero.
Plus Zero, yeah. Which was supposed to be coming out within a couple years of this one, but it got delayed because it was on N64
it got
originally. But the another thing, the last one for Resident Evil 3 that I'll mention is the ending credits theme. Again, I like it. It's very sad, melancholy. It's, the missile strikes everything, their homes, everything they once knew is gone. Depending on the ending, the better ending with Barry and Carlos, they both leave and they're leaving everything behind.
Carlos is one of those characters that never appears again.
Which
is whatever, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, some people like him, some people don't.
Yeah. I'm indifferent, really. I mean, I don't mind him.
Yeah, he's funny. I mean, like, he's not... Is he as memorable as, like,
I hate him in the movies. In the live action movies. He's trash.
Oh, man.
He should just
it's like Ode Farah or something. I think that's his name. Ode Farah or something. I don't know. Because Carlos did not have that big role in the games. To be in 3 movies, or 4, 2. He was in Apocalypse and Extinction. He died in Extinction.
And then Barry. Let's not start about live action movies. Let's not. The sound design in them are terrible.
No, God. It's just...
There's a lot of casting choices that don't make sense in the movies, but...
Yeah, but, well, I mean, with the ending credits of RE3, and you hear the news reporter saying that Raccoon City's been wiped off the map. I mean, it's just such a perfect ending. The sunset, the helicopter, it's so
wraps up
good.
That story.
Wraps up the PS1 trilogy perfectly.
And if the game ended there, if the series ended there, it ended on a high note.
Yeah.
There would have been no problem with the game ending there.
Because he's like, Umbrella's going down.
Umbrella's going down, yeah. And everything, like, that was perfect. And then Veronica would have fit in there, but...
Because even the people that maybe skipped the other ones and went right to 4's intro talks directly about 3.
Yep.
Directly. And they're saying how Umbrella failed, stock market crashed. They lost business, obviously, because of that, because they tried to cover it up. The government tried to cover it up.
Yeah, really. The beginning of 4 talks about 2 and 3.
Yeah, well, they go hand in hand because they're the days apart.
Yeah, the 2 and 3.
And plus, Leon obviously was a part of it, so, he has to talk.
Explaining it. I'll never forget it.
Yeah. And it shows clips from 2 and 3,
It shows movie clips.
Yeah. So, that's Resident Evil 3. But, speaking of Code Veronica, we're on to Code Veronica now.
Which, actually, we're gonna go to 0 first.
You want to go to 0
yeah,
first?
we're gonna go to 0 first because, like you said, that wraps up the Arcalay Mountains.
Okay.
We don't have many for 0. The two that really stood out to us were the save room theme, of course. Because the save room theme in 0 is pretty good. It fits with the rest of them. It really goes hand in hand with the remake version of RE1's theme. And the Queen Leech theme at the end. The final boss theme is really good. It really sets the pace of, like, this is serious and all that. I really like that theme. I feel like it's a good, like, finale to the 0. And the story that was never told about how Rebecca got to the mansion in the first place. What happened to the Bravo team.
Now, I can't find a composer for this one. It's not coming up. I don't know if they had an actual OST for it.
They might not. They did. They did have an OST for it.
I'm trying to pull it up here.
But fun fact, a little bit of trivia for you while you're pulling that up.
Yeah.
I was on Twitter and I actually saw this, so it was something that was pretty interesting. But we'll test your Resident Evil knowledge. Ready?
Okay.
What was the train called?
The train in 0?
What was the train in 0 called? What was the name of the train? Such an important part of the game, and nobody knows. Nobody knows what it's called. You actually see it in the cutscene. It's never mentioned.
In the opening.
In the opening, when she's walking up to it, the name is on the side.
Oh, man. You know, it's funny. I probably looked at that before, too.
Everybody has, but nobody remembers it.
I'm drawing a blank.
It's called the Ecliptic Express.
Ecliptic Express.
Ecliptic Express. And I thought it was funny.
That's probably one of the names of the song, honestly, on the soundtrack. Because it's like, the theme for that,
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't find a composer's name on here on Google. That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, again, we'll put it in post.
Yeah, we'll find it. We'll try to. 0 is probably composed. Honestly,
I think 0 and Remake
were probably composed by the same
person.
People. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, 0, again, has the same kind of instruments used for Remake. The same exact kind of, I guess you would say, like, modern feel, like you said, because they came out a year apart of each other, so the games, so that's, again, they're probably made around the same time. They're in development, so that was
and the
thing.
Leech guy, too.
Yeah,
the Leech, Marcus, he's got that Nemesis feel, with the theme. It's got that very impending, you're not getting away. It's actually really creepy.
Yeah, oh no, yeah.
His theme is like the the nails on the chalkboard.
Yeah, it's like the high, like...
The high pitch, It's really...
horror movie-esque.
It's
very
horror movie-esque, yeah. They did a really good job with 0's sound design as well.
Yeah, I mean, we also have the Queen Leech theme as well.
Both
of them.
it.
There's
Both
phase 1 and phase 2.
Phase 1 and 2, they're very good. They draw out, like...
It's safe to say that Resident Evil has really good boss themes at this point.
They do. They have, up till this
unless
point...
you're Simmons.
Unless you're... We'll get to them. But yeah, they have really good boss themes. They do a good job of projecting the fear.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And the environment and what you're up against and the what's at stake and Rebecca being, a rookie, not used to these situations, it makes a lot of this stuff intense. And, the only thing I don't like about this game is the monkeys. And I do not like the
baboons.
I do not like the inventory dropping things on the floor deal. I never really got used to that in my opinion.
Yeah, the inventory dropping things on the floor is a very strange mechanic, but at the same time,
I understand what they were trying to do because of the whole switching and swapping.
Yeah, they didn't want to have a save box. But at the same time, being able to drop something on the floor, without having to go to your save room does save some backtracking.
No, it does. It does.
So it's hit or miss. It is definitely hit or miss. Now, how Herbs survived the train wreck.
That's out of the, who knows?
That's a little time spacey.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
that
it's
is
crazy.
Especially with modern audiences playing, the Origins collection. You know, they might be look at that and be like,
So my Herbs survived
because they play, and plus they play remake.
Yeah.
And they play, the save room and stuff. Then it go to Zero. It could be a little dated. I don't know. I mean, if you're a fan, you'll play it. You'll obviously not have an issue with it. Or
not having the save room does add an element to the game because it's kind of like, hey, you don't have a place to keep your stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, which makes sense because they're on a train, and then they crash the train, and then they're always on the run.
Yeah.
In Zero, you're always on the run. You're not really backtracking. You're always moving forward.
Yeah.
You do backtrack a little bit here and there, but you mostly are just moving forward. So the idea is you're leaving things you don't need behind.
Yeah.
There's been times I've played through that game where I've left the shotgun behind, and I never went back and got it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that just adds to
it's a different element.
Design.
Yeah. It makes it different. And it did get good, it still got good reviews when it came out.
Zero's a fun
It's
game.
in high regard, so.
The party switching system is probably the most questionable.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of how it played out. But at the same time, I feel like the game was balanced.
Yeah.
The AI is a little wonky sometimes, where Billy just decides to shoot.
Waste ammo.
And then not shoot. And then what? Yeah, that was the one thing I noticed. Billy's just like, oh, guess what? Oh, zombie acid round.
You're like, no,
don't shoot that.
Unless you have to you have to take ammo. What I ended up doing was taking ammo so they wouldn't use it and then give it back to him. Because Sheva does that in 5 too. She wastes the fuck.
Everything.
So I would not give her ammo.
And dude, the horrible thing about 5 is she can switch weapons.
Yeah.
So you're like, I give her the handgun.
At least in Zero, you can switch to Billy, equipped a handgun.
He won't equip
another one because you have to manually do it. She's like, I'm out. I'll take out this one.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'll take out this one. Like, it's just a different.
Yeah, it's that feeling of why are you out of ammo again?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
It's bad. Yeah, but that's all for Zero. A very atmospheric game. Good sound design in terms of glasses tingling and stuff when the train's moving.
Them and Remake are on the same wavelength.
They're on the same wavelength. They're both very, very well designed. Good remasters of a game that was wonderful and a game that never was.
Yeah.
They're very good.
Now,
so moving on to Code
Veronica. Again, starting this one off with the Save Room theme.
Is the last save room theme that fits this theme.
I agree.
It's the final save room with storage boxes. Storage boxes in Code Veronica are a little...
Yeah.
They're a little far and few.
They're a little... Yeah, they're not as...
In between. Because
please place all metallic items in the security box.
Please place all metallic items in the security box.
Oh, man. Because you got to make that duplicate of the metal.
The medallion.
Yeah, the medallion.
The eagle medallion.
Yeah, what can I say about Code Veronica with the theme? I mean, this...
Sound design's wonderful.
Sound design's wonderful. It fits with that very piano, and you got all the instruments.
You got the drips. You got the dude, get up.
Lighter,
walking through the footsteps. It's the last game where the footsteps really matter, too.
The
footsteps are, clinging. This is kind of
and the last one that the fixed camera angles were very prominent. Yes. I mean... Obviously, Code Veronica came out before Remake and Zero on Dreamcast, but when it came out on PS2 and stuff, but that was the last main in the series.
It was
that really
the last game. Yeah, it had
not counting Outbreak, not counting that.
It had the rotating camera.
This one had the smooth transition where when it
Dino
cut,
Crisis camera.
The Dino Crisis camera.
Just
that's when they started
terrible.
doing it. Yeah, not terrible.
Just not bad.
They started doing it in Dino Crisis. They perfected it in Code Veronica.
Yeah, 3 didn't have it.
No.
Code Veronica had it.
And I think that could have been the limited technology.
Yeah.
I'm happy 3 didn't do what Dino Crisis did, because then it might not have worked as well, in my opinion. I feel like
the fixed camera angles add an element of surprise.
Yeah.
Because, like, you're running around the corner, you can't see what's around the corner, you cut the corner, and there's 3 dogs, and you're just like, fuck my life.
Yeah. So this one has a very smooth transition. It obviously runs in 60 frames on the Dreamcast, so when you're first playing this, it's very smooth. The environments, the fire in the background, it's not as pre-rendered, it's actually just, like, there, and
the sound design in general, like, honestly, Code Veronica is a really good game. You go outside, and then, like, there's
it's raining.
It's raining, and the rain sounds are great, and the rain graphics
footsteps
are great.
and, like, the muddy, like...
The footsteps, like
the dog running underneath the deck and shit, like, comes out, and, like...
You can hear every footstep.
Yeah.
Every model has...
Because this is when they could do more with the sound. I mean, you're on Dreamcast, you're on a powerful system.
Yeah, like RE2, sometimes you'll hear the dog footsteps when the dog's feet aren't touching the ground.
Yeah.
In Code Veronica, it's like
precise,
every single foot has a sound.
Yeah.
When it's running.
Absolutely.
When it hits the ground, when that animation starts and it hits the ground, they're good.
Yeah.
It's them busting out of the ground. Even the gunshots in this game are a lot. They're on point.
Yeah, absolutely. Different gun sounds, too, because this is the first one that's really... Because 1, 2, and 3 had similar guns. Yeah. But this one has a lot of different sounds. And yeah, the save room theme, as it is few and far between as far as those boxes go, it's very just, again, fits the mood, fits the vibe. It's just, it's so
I would
nice.
love to see somebody hack the game. Hack like Resident Evil 2 and take out the delay in the gun.
Oh,
so
yeah.
instead of like, it's just...
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just like an infinite shotgun. It'd be great.
Hey, it's on PC, so I'm sure someone can do that.
Yeah, you can do it.
Shout out to the Resident Evil 3 mod team who modded that game on PC. And what they did was, speaking of soundtracks, what they did, and I hope they do it for 2, is a team, they went back and they made they got this actual soundtrack of 3 and made it lossless quality. So it loses no percentage of quality. And he also did certain HD textures. And it's pretty fucking cool to see Resident Evil 3 like that.
Yeah.
It's a dev team that specifically modded RE3. And it's awesome. And I hope they do it for 2 because they make it so Resident Evil 3 can be ran on Windows 10.
Yeah.
Which it was made for 95 and 98 back then.
So it was tough.
It was tough. So, hopefully they do that. But, Code Veronica still isn't on PC either.
It's not.
That's the only one that is not on Steam.
It's not on PC. It's not on Steam.
Neither is 2 and 3.
2 and 3 are not. It's also not on PS4.
Nope, not yet. But there's rumors.
Yeah, there's rumors
that it's coming out.
I
soon.
hope it does.
I talked about that on the news video. You heard me talk about that.
Yeah. I hope that they do it because it's one of the games that I will buy day one and play.
Oh, I know you will.
On stream.
Yeah.
Because I love Code Veronica, and I love...
That would probably give me more motivation to stream it if another version comes out.
I'd love to go back to it and try to knife that game again. Because that's the game, like, which we're about to get to in a second, which I'll save that story. But that's the game, that knife run, dude. That's the Code Veronica is the one knife run I've never done. I've never completed. I've gotten 90% of the way, but I've never completed it. And I really want to do that.
So that'd be a main achievement for that. Yeah. Well, with the save room theme, we were moving on to
the suspended
doll.
Which now this is where when you walk in, I'm pretty sure this is the theme we were thinking of. This is when we walk in to the red carpeted mansion with the crazy stuff where Alex and Alexia's house.
Yes.
Alex, right?
Alfred, right?
Alexander or Alfred? Something. It's Alfred. Alfred Ashford and Alexia Ashford.
The crazy shit starts hitting the fan.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Alex. I thought they were both Alex, but they're both siblings. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, so Alfred. The butler from Batman.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. He fucking... I still can't believe he's tried to snipe you. But, yeah, his theme, it's that house where you run in and you see him with the wig for the first time.
Yeah.
That place is creepy as fuck.
Yeah, no, it is.
And theme, the theme you just heard, is creepy as fuck. And it puts goes
with that environment.
It puts a great environment in that game. And that game is so good, dude. The more I think about it, the more I think Code Veronica is one of the best Resident Evil games.
A lot of people think so. A lot of people that listen to this show right now think so. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, people have commented saying, because I've discussed some of the differences I have with the game in the past. They're like, look, I disagree. It's one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. So I've seen comments, man. A lot of people listen to this, and I'm sure they will agree with you.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best. I wouldn't put it above 2.
That's hard to do.
It's hard. I honestly like looking back,
but it could be a close call because it's
2 is my favorite. Still, like. There's no other Resident Evil game that even comes close to 2 for me personally.
I think Code Veronica is definitely the most polished of the original style. It's
definitely the most polished, of course.
I mean, best graphics.
Other than remake.
But
if you're not counting remake in terms of like graphical polish, in terms of gameplay, storytelling,
because this is before remake. This is 2000.
Yeah, Code Veronica was the best that came out at the time, which is good.
Back then, people called that Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
That's what they called it. They just called it Resident Evil 4 because it was the 4th Resident Evil.
And that was a big discussion back then as well.
Absolutely.
Is the fact that when 4 was coming out, like, why are you naming them numbers again?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, because back then, again, it's not like you could just pull up on your phone, research it, now everything's in the palm of your hand. Back then, it's like, oh, this is the 4th Resident Evil. Like
so I guess Code Veronica was a side-off.
Exactly.
And that's what, a lot of people don't like Code Veronica because they don't feel like it was a major part of the game.
But it did have Claire, and it did have Chris.
It had Chris. It had...
it mentioned Leon.
Steve. It mentioned Leon by name. And it's a very important thing. Wesker's in it. Mm-hmm. Wesker punches Chris in the face.
You find out he's alive.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Pivotal thing.
And if you got the collector's edition, it came with Wesker's report, which explained... from his narrative, everything that happened, and there is a plot hole because of the whole he captured Sherry, and then that never
was explored.
Yeah, so that was a little. They never explained that, but again,
that was also they didn't have anything that they have today back then in development.
Jill was at the time was still going to I believe Alaska because that was like around the same time. So you have. Besides Jill, you have pretty much the main kind of bloodline of the series, in my like I like to call it, like this, like the main core people. Besides, and then you obviously had Steve. You had which he like Claire and touched her booty and shit and was getting on her.
Yeah, Steve.
Steve was trying to work his way in there, but
I think Jill's mentioned by name in Code Veronica too. When Chris and Wesker meet off. When they first meet.
I think so.
I think I could be wrong. It might only be in the Japanese version. I could have sworn that Chris says something about it.
This is the first time you see Wesker with his fucking powers.
Yes.
Like, he's not just a guy anymore with shades. Like, he has red eyes. He's fucking pissed. He's tired of Chris. Chris is always fucking up his plans.
What are you doing here?
Because keep in mind...
Nobody can stop me. Only doors can stop me.
Because keep in mind, like, you didn't see Remake. He got fucking impaled in the original.
Yeah.
So you think he's fucking dead. And you play Code Veronica.
Dead. Douchebag with glasses is dead.
But,
and then you see him, and he's like, long time no see, Chris. And you're just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Like, are you kidding me?
Why are you alive?
Why are you here?
Wesker, what are you?
And then Alexa's like, after that fight, too, because she's like there in a mansion with the
Is it Alexa or Alexia? It's Alexia.
Alexa. I'm the Alexa voice.
Yeah. I don't understand.
Alexia. Okay.
Alexia, yeah.
Okay.
Which is easy because my girlfriend's name is Alexi.
Oh, there you go. So it's easy to mix it up.
It's easier to mix it up.
Yeah. That moves on to this one, the Alexia Type 1.
Yeah, which is the fight where you actually encounter her with Wesker.
Yes.
She bitch slaps Wesker.
Yeah.
And Wesker's like,
Yeah, he's like,
You're gonna have this one, Chris.
He does that anime thing where it's like, And he just fixes his glasses and shit.
He just fixes his glasses and then the fucking teleports out.
Yeah, exactly.
You can have this one, Chris.
And that other replica of the mansion and shit.
Yeah, the other replica in the hall.
In the hallway,
in the hall where you save Claire.
Yeah.
Was she tied up at that point? Is she behind there at that point?
I don't think so.
Or is that post you rescue her?
I think that's after.
Yeah, it is. It's after.
I think it's after.
Because he goes back for Wesker while she goes for Steve.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, again, with the Alexia stuff, a very ominous, like, open, epic theme.
Yeah, epic theme.
Veronica has that shit in there where it's like, oh!
Yeah,
like,
and that's a pivotal moment is knifing that fight.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so bullshit. And, like, she sometimes...
The one-hit kills, man.
Sometimes she just seems to just know where you are. Like, you run around her in circles and you knife her legs, and then you run and you knife her legs, and she throws the blood out and the fire comes on. And I was telling you earlier, like, I got past her. I did beat her.
Yeah.
But it took me, like, 40 tries because, like, she wouldn't grab you, and then you'd be, like, cutting, and then she wouldn't grab you, and you'd be cutting. And
all of a sudden she'll turn.
And then she'll just turn, like, a 180 degrees and just grab you, and you're dead. So that was really annoying. But that's part of the sound design in that fight is like the blood trails and the fire.
Yeah,
and the footsteps and just like Chris screaming when he hits her. Or when she hits him.
It's very...
Or the because you're stuck on fire. Which I don't even think does damage to you. It does very minuscule. It does like 1 or 2%.
Yeah, you would have to like really hit it a lot of times for it to do any impact.
And I don't think it kills you. I don't think it can kill you.
Nah, she'll finish you off before that does.
Yeah.
So
yeah, she'll grab you before that. And that fight was really cool. I really liked that game. And that game is also important because, like, not that we're talking about the game design in general, but like Alfred is a setup for Salazar. Like that character type, they translate very well. Now,
they do.
Maybe not really because he's pretending to be a girl and Salazar's, a dwarf, but it's kind of like, that kind of giggly kind of bad guy.
Yeah.
It sets him up really well, which we didn't get because Wesker was serious.
Yeah. So you get some more of kind of like psychotic, fucked up, mentally like something's wrong with these people, especially when they're worshiping a cult in fucking 4. They're all part of this like crazy ass cult. So, Los Illuminados. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. Los Illuminados.
But I mean, that's the thing. And going on to Not Steve, which is what this one's called.
Yeah.
Not Steve. So this is after that fight, actually, and that's it's the fight during, when Steve that's what the title is called. Not Steve. It's not.
This ain't Steve.
This
anymore.
isn't Steve anymore.
This isn't Kansas anymore.
So, again, this one it's very emotional because again they try to build. Look, as bad as Steve's voice acting is, and as bad as I don't like him, it's still
could have played a little bit more of an important role.
He
in the
could
story.
have. Music's still fucking awesome though. So
they do a better job at building Steve as a character in Dark Side Chronicles than they did in the actual Resident Evil Code Veronica. But aside from his terrible voice acting,
I feel like they focused more on Claire and Chris and Wesker, that kind of more than anything. Well,
aside from his terrible
Wesker.
voice acting, like you still was connected to Claire, and Claire was connected to Steve, and when Steve died. Or became not Steve.
Yeah, not Steve.
Should be the boss name.
Yeah.
Not Steve.
Yo, he became not Steve. No.
No, God. He's
the not Steve fight.
Super not Steve.
The super not Steve.
And that fight too, like the.
Oh yeah.
Like he just comes after you with the axe.
And you
run.
And oh my god, it's so annoying when like you think you're far enough and he just gets you and you're just like, ugh, like and you got to keep running. Like, oh my god, it's so. And that is actually pretty tense. That tension. You're running. He's literally right behind you. Yeah. Like he's swinging and he's missing
angle.
you.
It's Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, it's Crash Bandicoot running forward.
Yeah,
very Crash Bandicoot-esque.
You can get past that without getting hit.
Yeah. Oh
you have to swerve.
But, you gotta know when he swings and how to turn in and out.
Yeah, that's a hard fight. But it's also because when she kills him, there's that scene with the little melody behind there and all that.
So all that goes hand in hand with how the fight is and how it closes that relationship with those characters.
Yeah.
The music is something I always loved in Code Veronica. So it's so it's a nice little twist of different. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna see if it is a different. It's got to be some kind of different composer.
Yeah, it's definitely a more darker feel.
I think so too.
But
it
the
definitely
sound
is
effect
darker.
is very good, and the tremors of like the strike
Oh,
worms.
yeah.
I call them strike worms. I don't know what their names are.
All right, so the Code Veronica was composed by
Hijiri
Hajiri.
Anze, Sane Kashara, and Takashi Miura. So that looks like a completely new lineup.
Yeah, 3 composers again. The first time, there's actually 3 composers just like Resident Evil 2.
Yeah. Let me see. So it looks like this guy, Takashi Miura, he worked on more than just Code Veronica. Oh no, he just worked on Code Veronica. All right, so he's a one and done composer.
One and done, yeah.
One and done, which it arguably is one of the best. I mean, it's a solid soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's a solid sound design.
I like that you said it was darker though, because it is.
It is very darker.
Yeah.
I would probably say, like, if you were to stop me right now and tell me to rank these 5 games in terms of soundtrack, I would probably say 0 in general and Remake are the worst. That doesn't mean they're bad. I would just say they're worse than the other 3. I would put Code Veronica next, then RE3, then RE2. RE3 for the whole chase mechanic and just the way that they built
that tension.
around
Yeah,
the tension is perfect. RE2 is just the pinnacle, but Code Veronica's got a very dark feel to it.
But that's an interesting point that you brought up, is that it goes hand in hand with how the game is played, is how this music is composed.
Yeah.
So, like we mentioned, like with the yawn or like it's like part of the soundtrack. So it's like it's very. It's like It's like that's how you're gonna distinguish. Like, oh, I remember this song, or like you guys listen to this right now as we play the sound bits. That might be what you're thinking. Like, I remember this part of the game, and like this room.
What you're doing at the time.
Yeah. And that goes, hand in hand with the design, the sound design, everything. It's just, it's the meat and potatoes of the game,
Yeah. And then moving on from there, since that's pretty much all we have for Code Veronica, was you wanted to talk a little bit about the save room theme in Dead Aim.
Yeah, I did like if you guys haven't heard it, this is the clip of it. There's not a lot of great music in Dead Aim. It's very weird and not greatly composed. It's not very
memorable.
It's not very memorable. It's very a dark, isolated game, but the save room theme's always, and I always liked it personally, because it's very odd, it's very weird, and it has a very cool environment to it. It's a shame that, the game doesn't really hold up very well. I mean, it's still better than Survivor. I'll play this game over Survivor any day. It's actually not too bad of like an idea.
Yeah.
It's like behind the back, and then you switch in and out of the first person.
Yeah.
But an honorable mention for that game would be the save room theme. I don't know. I just always liked it, so I figured I'd mention it. And if you guys, haven't heard it before, that's why I wanted to mention it. So maybe you guys can listen to that track and make that part of your Resident Evil listening sessions. So that brings us to the infamous Resident Evil 4.
And a little bit just before we start with 4, 5, and 6, while you're pulling up the composer.
The last trilogy. Or
the second half of the Resident Evil series.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, just some personal things. I don't know how Anthony feels about this, but one of the things I was talking about earlier that I brought up to him before we started was there is a fall off. Like there is a drop off in the way that Shusaku Uchiyama worked on Resident Evil 1.
Oh, okay.
He's the composer of 4. Misayo Senbongi. I don't know that. Misayo Senbongi.
Okay.
And Shusaku Uchiyama. He worked on he did. He worked on Mega Man 8, Resident Evil 2.
Oh, okay.
He's given sole credit to 6 of the tracks. I wonder if any of those are ours. Are on our list. Resident Evil, the remake.
Yep.
4 and Project Number 3, which I have no idea what that is. But he worked on 2, which means no wonder 4 is such a good soundtrack for what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the way, the thing I was talking about, it's not a bad thing. It's just that when you move from the type of game that Resident Evil was to the type of game Resident Evil is now, the soundtrack is going to adapt. You're playing more action games nowadays than you are the classical fixed camera angle survivor horror. So to make up for that, the soundtracks get more low. They get more rumbly, like I said earlier in the podcast. You have more of a forgettable soundtrack, I feel. Like
Sure.
when I think of the fight with the Tyrant, I can hear it in my head.
Yeah.
When I think of the fight with Krauser, I can't remember what that theme sounds like. It just sounds like to me, when I think of it, it just sounds like a very generic desert war type of theme, like the
Yeah, I can say that I understand and I do agree on that because I do think that it'll never capture what we grew up playing.
Yeah.
I do, however, think RE4 does have, some good stuff in there.
Oh yeah, it's got a solid soundtrack.
It definitely has
for
good
that
stuff in.
theme.
No, of course, yeah.
Yeah, for that
4.
theme. We're not saying the soundtrack is bad. We're saying that the shift between the mystery, dramatic, heavy.
Now you're in third person. You're in
third
action.
person,
You're
in action now, and
some
it's
horror,
more like undertones,
like
and,
the Regenerator theme's
Regenerator
horror.
theme is horror. Yeah, it's more of
theme.
undertones, and there's more of like with the action. There's so much going on the screen.
Yeah,
that there's not really mystery. Most things in Resident Evil 4, when you first encounter them, are cutscenes. So there's not really mystery. You're ready for what's going to happen when it happens. And, some people might not be, and some people might die, but you're presented with a problem before you're given that problem.
Absolutely.
There's no really, like dog coming through the window type things in Resident Evil 4.
No, I agree.
Or 5, or 6. And the general consensus for me, or the general idea behind my thought process for it, is that the soundtracks for 4, 5, and 6 in general, for me, are very forgettable. And that's not a bad thing, because one of the challenges in sound design is making sure that your sound fits with the game and doesn't overtake the game.
Yeah.
And when you're an action game and you're focusing on all the things that are going on the screen and shooting and dodging and tapping the quick time events and everything like that, sometimes sound can be distracting. If it's too loud, you can't hear your character scream, or you can't hear something blowing up next to you, especially in something like RE6, where you're in a city, or RE5, where you're in a swamp and you're on the boat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All you hear is that boat. You don't really hear anything else, and then they just throw on, because the music's not as important.
Yeah, it's like the timing isn't as important or sharp as it was. Yeah, it's not as
again. Doesn't mean that there's not bad themes.
Yeah,
we have Serenity, the merchant theme for
RE4. Love this theme.
That is the most reminiscent theme in that game. The ones we actually, I'm gonna bring this up after we talk about them. But Serenity merchant theme is one of our favorites.
Yes.
That's like when you meet the merchant and you're talking to them and stuff like that.
I have some honorable mentions I'll throw in as well.
Yeah, and then typewriter theme. We've got the typewriter theme.
That goes hand in hand.
Theme.
Yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand, because usually your typewriters are by your merchants,
Yeah. And then in that style, though, those are 2 of the 3 we listed. And those 2 are the most reminiscent of the older soundtracks. And there's a reason that they're memorable, and that's because, like, when we think Resident Evil,
they remind us of
it. That's the themes we think of. We think of that kind of stuff.
Very
slow paced,
quiet,
and like
ominous,
mysterious and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't think of like the hunk theme, for example, we have down here. Now, the reason why that's down there is because of all of the beats and the rumbles and everything, the hunk theme in Mercenaries is like really good.
Oh yeah.
And for an action game,
all of those themes are pretty good.
And Mercenary theme in 5 is fine.
Yeah.
When you're battling, like it feels upbeat, and that's like the course of the game.
Because it's a mini game and shit.
Yeah, it's the focus of the game is to have that like commando type feel.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job of that. The sound design is not bad. It's good. It's just interesting to see that, like, of memorable themes, we have so many listed.
And you could see,
RE4, 5, and 6, we have so little. We don't know them by name. We don't really know them by area. I mean, like, I can't remember what it sounds like when you fight what is it called?
Which one, 4?
4, when you fight the salamander.
Yeah.
El Lago.
Yes.
I don't remember what that song sounds like. And I've played 4 almost as much as I've played 2.
Yeah, it's very, like, it's kind of more quiet because you're focusing on throwing the spears in, or you're getting knocked off the boat.
And then when they disappear, the sound disappears.
Yeah.
So you can hear the waves. So there's a lot of different sound design choices that I maybe not agree with. In terms of, like, boss themes and stuff. I can't remember what it sounds like when you fight the big cheese. I don't remember the boss theme with Salazar. I don't remember the boss theme with...
I do with Sadler.
Sadler, I remember.
And that's what I was going to bring up for an honorable mention. Yeah. This track it's called The Final Battle. Yeah. And also that goes in with the Escape. The Final Battle Escape. A lot of the music on the island, I like a lot.
Yeah, the final part of
love that.
The music is really good.
Love that. And of course, obviously, all the mercenary stuff. The Mercenaries theme. Yes. When you start it up, is very intense, and it's like zing, 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 zing. It's just fucking, it's awesome. And the bass, and it's boom, boom, boom. Another good I mentioned that we could talk about too is the bass guitar riff of RE2.
Yeah,
and, I'll throw that in at the end or the beginning or something of this.
Of the final ending.
Yeah. Boom, boom. It's just it's so like funny and like
it is,
and just great. But yeah, I mean, RE4, like what you were saying, I do agree with that. I did like the Regenerator theme. That's very creepy. I think it's definitely the most creepiest moment of the game and the creepiest theme of RE4. Because it's like, oh, like it's so, it's just so creepy.
And sometimes what RE4 does well is not having sound at all.
Yeah.
And that comes with the action part of it, and that's one of the things that they capture really well.
Yeah, I agree.
Not having sound in certain places, like when you first get into the Regenerator room, when you meet him, there's nothing there, and then that sound kind of comes in. That's a really good one. But that's pretty much all I have for RE4. Just general sound. But see, that's the thing. With RE1 through Code Veronica and Zero and Dead Aim and stuff, we have actual moments. But for RE4, 5, and 6... it's more along the lines of the game itself is good, but there's not really any like super standout-ish tracks.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Other than the ones we listed, it's a very good thing. So don't think we're hating on it. We're not at all.
Yeah, it's
a different type of game.
It's very different and different kind of composers and
exactly.
It's different. But
it's like saying like an anime dating sim game has a different soundtrack than like a Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
They're different styles of games. They have different things. Like you're not going to see, an upbeat malformation of G dun 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 in a Mortal Kombat fight.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to be like
it's
that
completely
because
different.
The sound design is different and the type of tracks that are needed are different. And Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, and on, as much as people don't want to admit it, are just not the same.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
Just different. And
7's different too.
7's different as well. And we're not going to talk about 7 today, because like it's new and we haven't had enough time to like really see like what kind of songs stick with me or Anthony.
Yeah.
In general though, I mean,
we can always go back and
just
do it if need be.
Yeah,
if it's something people want to see.
Way, I don't have any problems with the soundtrack or the sound quality or the tones and anything in 7. But yeah, we can always go back. If you guys want to hear us talk about the soundtrack for 7 and talk about individual pieces,
it's always something we can do.
Yeah, we could do it. It's not a big deal. And then 5 and 6. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
We're not going to give either of these games their own section. Sound design's the same as 4. It's mostly just that low, rumbly, action-paced soundtrack.
Yeah.
Something you would get in like an Uncharted almost.
Yeah.
Like you would get that lower Tomb Raider-ish theme where it's like action and you're running and then it's like do-do-do-do-do-do and then it's quiet and then all that.
Because RE5.
The result themes on RE5 is one of our favorites.
Yeah, I
it's
love
the
the
one
results.
that I remembered the most, and I just recently played it.
It's very quiet. It's very just like
very.
Yeah, very, very subtle. And it always stuck with me when I played that. And
again, it's probably the most sounding of the originals.
Yeah.
But it still has a little bit of an upbeat. And 6 as well. 6 is upbeater. They're a little bit more upbeat than 5 is progress screen, the results screen.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're talking about Leon and Helena.
The Leon Helena theme.
Helena!
Yeah.
Helena!
Helena. You'll never be back in a Resident Evil game again. Now, I don't know what the one is also called in RE5, but when you are trying to save Jill with the chip on her chest,
yeah,
I like that theme too.
It is a good theme.
I can't find it on here in the list, but
and you hear Wesker talking in the background. Yeah.
That was another good one that I like. So again, here and there, same thing with 6 though, like the Simmons fight is just so like forgettable.
Yeah.
That theme, it's not, I don't know. It's just, it's not, I don't know.
6 does good with sound design in terms of like zombie moans and screeches.
Exactly.
And 5 does the same thing.
Like you said, it goes hand in hand with the different kind of game. And that does reflect in who you're composing it, because the composers look at the game as inspiration to what they're writing.
Yeah.
And it's just when it's completely different or it takes a different spin, you're not going to get the same music out of the games.
Yeah.
And, like I said, that, wrapping everything up, I think that's why the Resident Evil soundtracks, from the beginning when it started, it still sticks with us to this day. We have a lot of tracks that we, talked about that really brought back a lot of good memories just from talking about them here, and I hope it did for you guys as well. Because, maybe you guys haven't played it in a while. Maybe you guys don't remember certain music cues or certain soundtracks, or maybe this might encourage you to go check out the soundtracks. So, that's like kind of everything.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything we covered. A little bit off the rail now. We'll talk about like remasters and stuff like that, like Dark Side Chronicles and Umbrella Chronicles and stuff like that. Like in terms of sound design with those games, they're fine. We didn't cover every Resident Evil game. I mean, we covered basically the canon stuff. There's a little bit of offshoots, like Survivor we didn't talk about. Umbrella Chronicles we didn't talk about.
And all those things are canon. They're just like, less... Like, we really wanted to focus on, like, the original games and stuff. Because when you say soundtrack, like, people think of the originals.
Yeah.
That's what's memorable. And if you ever want us to go back and do that, let us know. We'll definitely do another show. We'll get a list and we'll write down certain ones we'll listen to the soundtracks. It's pretty much one of those things where, we wanted to talk about it for a while. We had a lot to say about the sound, and I haven't done an episode on it. So I like getting together with whether it's John or Richard or JJ or Perry, and we all talk about different stuff because we all have something different to say about the series.
Yeah.
We all have different opinions, and that's what this show is. Show has always, we started this in January 2013, and that's what we've done ever since. We've just been trying to give our opinions, and we like hearing your discussions as well. So if you have any other comments about it, let us know your favorite tracks. Let us know your favorite soundtracks. Maybe your favorite is 5. Maybe your favorite's 6. I mean, hey, to each his own. And
maybe your favorite's Gaiden.
Yeah. Hey, some people do like those old 6-bit sounds, yeah.
Or 8/16,
whatever Game Boy Color would be.
Beep, 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 beep,
I actually can
beep,
play
beep,
that on the Raspberry Pi that I got. I can actually play it on a fucking TV screen.
Yeah, you?
And I also have the Resident Evil Game Boy that was canceled. I have that version.
Do you?
Yeah.
We should definitely play them.
Yeah, they're so much fun. I mean, hard to play, but they're fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that about wraps it up. I want to thank you for coming on again, John.
Yeah, no problem. Another thing too, if there's any content that you guys want to see, like specifically between Anthony and myself, just tweet it, comment it,
yeah,
do whatever you want. Well, if you want to see like something specific, like it could be either something like maybe you've done with somebody in the past that they just want to get my perspective on, or something new that completely new.
Yeah.
He's always open for feedback, I'm sure.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Or suggestions.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm always open for suggestions. Some of you might remember me from before. I'm more of like the RPG kind of guy. So if there's any RPGs that you want to hear talked about, I'm going to be starting my own podcast soon.
There you go.
And it's going to be pretty much about RPGs.
Do you have the channel? Do you want to plug your channel?
I have my channel. We'll put it in the description.
Okay.
I'm Hero Guy John still.
Okay. So Hero Guy John on youtube.com/Hero Guy John.
I don't have a link yet because you know how the whole thing is. Yeah. But my Twitter, you could link my Twitter.
Okay, so it's at Hero Guy John.
Yeah.
That's his Twitter. And yeah, if you also want to send some ideas my way, at Jill Sandwich 988. You can also follow us on Facebook on the facebook.com/Let's Talk Resident Evil. All these links will be in the description. Also subscribe to us on iTunes and follow us and give us that 5-star rating on iTunes because that really helps us out a lot. So if you like the show, we have a lot of big stuff coming, some different stuff. I think I'm going to cover Resident Evil Final Chapter with Richard. Me and you are going to cover Resident Evil Vendetta when that comes out. We're going to be doing a review of that. We're going to actually see it. So we have a lot of stuff coming up. So stay tuned for that. What's up?
One thing we forgot to talk about.
What did we forget?
Which we could talk about in a separate show in the future, but we did not forget. We just didn't want to cover that today. The biggest part of sound design is voice acting.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of things coming in the future with voice acting in particular that maybe we could cover. Talk about like who did a better job on what voice and stuff. That was just going to be a little bit too much for us to get into today. But in terms of like digital sound, we wanted to cover the music and stuff like that. So that's a good thing to point out. Well, he'll leave that in the comment or in the description that we're not covering that.
Yeah, we'll just
because that is a big pinnacle part of sound.
Yeah, we're just covering the scores
now
and then touching on some of the sound design. But again, that can always be another show.
It can be another show. Yeah,
do that.
And of course, Moonlight Sonata. We didn't mention it at all, but yeah, we know that it's there. It's not in a Resident Evil original song, so we didn't feel the need to really discuss that, but yes, of course, we love it.
Yeah, of course. It goes hand in hand. I mean, they brought it back in 5 Lost in Nightmares, for Christ's sake. Exactly. So that's how you know that it's a staple.
It's great. It's a staple of that
series.
Franchise, yeah.
But that about wraps it up. So just keep an eye out on iTunes and Libsyn, and just leave us some feedback for future shows. We got a lot of stuff coming up with different ideas. So stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
There you go.
There we go.
That was Soundtrack Podcast done.
Done.